Welcome or welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video. In today's video I'm going to be choosing my February TBR using my TBR prompts. I have switched back to my TBR cart because I did get rid of my burgundy bookshelf when I moved. So we're going to switch back to using the TBR cart, which I honestly kind of prefer. I just feel like it's a little more accessible and like easier to look at my books and grab my books. So I'm kind of glad that I brought her back and I'm super excited to be using her again. And if you're wondering, I actually didn't have a planned TBR for January. I was kind of just reading whatever I wanted to. That's kind of something I do in January, just to kind of like kick off my reading year. I kind of just like gravitate towards whatever is really calling my name, and I don't really put a strict TBR for January because I just don't like starting the year that way. But we're going into February, so I thought I would go ahead and get back into routine and pick out some books that I would like to read in February. I'm going to stick to doing 5 prompts for my TBR, and I'm going to be using my TBR prompts in my little jar here. I've been reading a lot of fiction and fantasy lately, and I kind of want to get back towards romance. So honestly, any of these and any of these up here is kind of like my most want to read priority TBR. So I'm hoping to get some prompts that will lead me towards this shelf and this shelf. And then my TBR cart is still pretty full. If I switch it around, I do have some fiction on the back here. And then on the bottom is like my fantasy, mystery, thriller, classics type of vibe. So hopefully we get some prompts that will lead me to these 2 shelves. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw the first prompt and see what we get. A free pick! That is insane. The first one we get is a free pick. That's actually crazy. I'm gonna look obviously at these 2 shelves and see what I want to pick out for my free pick. A lot of these right here also are kind of more like summer romances. I'm kind of limited on like just regular anytime romances. Like a lot of these I want to read in the summertime. However, I've been really wanting to read The Masterpiece by Francine Rivers. I think this is actually like a Christian romance. The back says, "The ghosts of his past hold him captive. Her missteps bring her to his door." Which sounds like a really good kind of complicated romance. I have really been wanting to get into Christian romances as well, and I've heard really good things about this author. So I think for my free pick, I'm gonna go with Masterpiece by Francine Rivers. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and do the second prompt. Oops, I always drop them. A young adult. Okay, do I even have any young adults at this point? I know I definitely have some young adult fantasies that have been on my TBR for quite a while, and I think I've even had them for this prompt before, and I just never got around to reading them. So a couple that I have for a young adult fantasy is Renegades by Marissa Myers, Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo, and then Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. None of these look like young adults. And then on the back here, like I said, are just like fictions, which aren't really young adult. So I think I'm stuck between those 3 fantasies for a young adult. So we have Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. Again, I've tried reading this one before. I've heard really good things about it. I just feel like I really need to be in the right mood for this one. And then we have Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. I've really been wanting to read this series actually because it's on Netflix and I've been wanting to watch it. I've also heard really good things about this series as well. And I really do enjoy Leigh Bardugo's writing. Like I really enjoyed Ninth House and the Six of Crows duology. On the back it says, "Soldier, Summoner, Saint, Orphan, and Expendable. Alina Starkov is a soldier who knows she may not survive her first trek across the Shadowfold. A swath of unnatural darkness crawling with monsters, but when her regiment is attacked, Alina unleashes dormant magic not even she knew she possessed." That sounds so good. I love dormant magic. It also doesn't sound too complicated. Like I'm not really in the mood for fantasies right now just because it's such complicated world building. This does not sound that complicated whatsoever, especially with it being a young adult. So I think I might go with this one for a young adult. It's also not even that long. It's only like 358 pages, which is really short for a fantasy book. So I think I'm actually gonna go with Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo for a young adult. I'm actually really excited for this one. I know I said I didn't really want any fantasy, but I've been wanting to read this for a while and it sounds so good. So for a young adult, I'm gonna go with Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. Okay, and for the third prompt, a new author. Okay, I think I have lots of new authors on my TBR right now actually, so that shouldn't be too hard to find. Just gotta narrow it down to one. These are a new author right here. That's a new author. That's a new author. Okay, so I have a couple of options for a new author. The first one I have is The Rose Code by Kate Quinn. I've honestly heard nothing about this book before or this author, but I believe it is a historical romance, or at least a historical fiction. I'm not too sure what it's about, to be honest. It's kind of intriguing with the cover. I've also had it for a very long time on my TBR, so I feel like that would be a good satisfying read to get off of my TBR, because I've had this one on my TBR for years, to be honest. So that's option one. We have Kissed by an Angel by Elizabeth Chandler. This is actually a trilogy and it's a romance and suspense book. This one sounds really good. It's basically like 3 books in one, and the back says, "A love beyond life, a danger beyond doubt. When her boyfriend Tristan died, Ivy thought she lost everything, even her faith in angels, but now she's discovered that he's her guardian angel. His presence is so strong that she can feel the touch of his hand, the beat of his heart. Ivy needs Tristan now more than ever because he knows she's in terrible danger. Only Ivy's guardian angel can save her now that his killer is after her. But if Tristan rescues Ivy, his mission on Earth will be finished, and he must leave her behind forever. Will saving Ivy mean losing her just when he's finally reached her again?" That sounds very intriguing. Like, that sounds really good. And it looks long, but the text is honestly kind of large. I don't know. That's a very strong contender. And then next I also have The Miniaturist by Jessie Burton. This one is kind of giving me like magical realism vibes. I'm not really sure what it's about. I actually thrifted this one, and on the front there's a little blurb from Entertainment Weekly. It says 17th century Amsterdam comes alive in this meticulously researched, enchanting told tale. It sounds really good. I'm just really not sure what it's about, and the back doesn't really give me much information. But there is like a map of Amsterdam, which I think is really cool. I'm not sure. This one just looks really interesting. I'm not sure if it'll be my vibe completely, but it would be worth a shot. So it's definitely a contender as well. And then my last option for this prompt is The Nanny by Lana Ferguson. I've heard really good things about this book and about Lana Ferguson's writing. The back says, "A woman discovers the father of the child she is nannying may be her biggest only fan in this steamy contemporary romance." So definitely a romance, and definitely an interesting setup for a romance. So that is also an option. So those are 4 options for a new author right now. I'm having a tough time picking. I honestly really want to read Kissed by an Angel. I feel like that is the one that kind of intrigued me the most. This one right here, Kissed by an Angel by Elizabeth Chandler. And it just sounds really good. A romantic, suspenseful book just sounds really good. And I'm really like intrigued by the concept of this book with her boyfriend dying and then becoming her guardian angel. So I think for a new author, I'm gonna go with Kissed by an Angel by Elizabeth Chandler. On to prompt number 4. A book with sprayed edges. I don't think I have too many books with sprayed edges right now. I have a couple. Literally, I have 2. I have Silver Elite by Danny Francis, and then I have Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I can't really get them out right now. They're kind of at the very bottom. I don't know if you can see them or not. That is Silver Elite by Danny Francis, and then Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I have been really wanting to read Red Queen a lot lately. I've just heard a lot about it. If I can get it out of the cart. I've literally cannot get it out. Okay, well, since that took so much work to get the book out, I think I'm just gonna go with Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard for sprayed edges. The sprayed edges aren't nothing special. They're literally just plain red, and so is the rest of the book. But I've heard really good things about this series. The back just says power is a dangerous game, so I don't really know myself into with this series, but like I said, I've heard really good things. So for a book with sprayed edges, I'm gonna go with Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. Mostly because it just took so much work to get it out of the cart. Okay, and then let's go ahead and draw our last prompt, prompt number 5. A blind pick. Okay, I'm also getting kind of low on my prompts. I'm gonna need to make more prompts soon, but for the last prompt, we got a blind pick. So maybe I'll pick from the shelf up here. That also like limits my options a little bit, so I'm not going crazy. And since this top shelf is my priority reads, and like I said, a lot of these have summer reads on them, so I'm gonna close my eyes and pick a book from up here. Beartown by Frederick Bachman. I have heard so many good things about this series. I'm actually so happy this is the one I picked. It is a hockey fiction book, but like I said, I've heard so many good things, and I'm sure it is so much more than just a hockey book. So super excited for this one. I absolutely love Frederick Bachman's writing, and I've been really wanting to get to this book for quite some time now. And the back says, it's only a game. It only resolves tiny, insignificant things, such as who gets validation, who gets listened to. It allocates power and draws boundaries and turns some people into stars and others into spectators. That's all. That sounds so good because I know it's so much more than what he says it is. So I'm so excited for that one. Real quick, let's go over the books that I ended up picking for my February TBR. The first prompt I had was a free pick, and for free pick, I went with The Masterpiece by Francine Rivers. I'm super excited for this one. And then second prompt I got was a young adult. For that, I went with Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo, another one I'm super excited to read. And then for third prompt, we got a new author. This is a book I've been meaning to get to for a minute as well. It's Kissed by an Angel by Elizabeth Chandler. And then the fourth prompt was a book with sprayed edges. We ended up going with Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. And then the last one, a blind pick, I went with, well, I grabbed Beartown by Frederick Bachman. So I think that's a pretty good lineup for February. And I do plan on reading more romances like the weekend of Valentine's Day. I wanted to do a weekend reading vlog just centered around romances. So stay tuned for that as well. But in the meantime, in February, these are also the books that I will be working on reading. So very happy with my picks, and I honestly missed doing this. I haven't done this in a couple of months since Bookmas, and then like I said, I took January off to just read whatever I gravitated towards. So this was a lot of fun, and I definitely missed picking my TBR prompts and picking my TBR for the month. And I'm super excited to have books to reach for throughout the month now without having to really think about it too much. And honestly, I'm really excited for all the books that I ended up picking. So this worked out really well. So one more time, here are the 5 books that I got for my February TBR. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!